I love cartoons, just nice warm moving pictures that lull you into fun light-hearted worlds where the true evils of the world don't exist, depending on the animation you watch. Anyway, I'm an anime fan as well, and that stuff can get pretty dark. But we're focusing on those happy, wholesome tunes today with dark urban legends lurking in their shadows. I'm your host James, and these are the top 10 disturbing cartoon urban legends too real to ignore. And we're starting out the list with the Lost Mickey Mouse cartoon. According to the story, Leonard Maltin, a renowned film critic and historian, was reviewing old cartoons for the Disney Treasures Collection DVD. During this process, he and some colleagues stumbled upon a particularly disturbing and surreal Mickey Mouse short film with a title I can't really say on here, but it didn't sound like a title Walt would have okayed. The cartoon began with Mickey Mouse walking down a continuous street, a monotonous and repetitive backdrop accompanied by an unsettling, dissonant soundtrack. As the cartoon progressed, Mickey's expression supposedly became increasingly distressed and disturbed. The animation style is described as crude and distorted. There's no coherent plot, with Mickey aimlessly walking, occasionally encountering unsettling and surreal imagery before it completely cut to black. When the cartoon came back, things got even worse. Mickey was walking down the same street on repeat, but now there was no music, just an indistinguishable murmuring in the background. Then Mickey's face began to melt as the world around him became more and more distorted. Some versions of the story claim that the original viewers were so deeply disturbed by the animation that a few of them even experienced psychological distress. If you are enjoying our channel so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We have awesome videos coming at you on the daily, so don't miss out. Alright, number 9, we have Dr. Claw's True Identity. Any Inspector Gadget fans in the audience? I always forget about this show, a bit before my time, I guess. That theme song though, I'll be on my deathbed, unable to recognize my own grandkids, but sing that tune and I'll be like, go Gadget, go! Anyway, Dr. Claw is the big villain of this series, but we never see who Dr. Claw actually is. Just his metal arm stroking his devilish cat as he exclaims, "I'll get you next time, Gadget." So, the question is, what does Dr. Claw actually look like? Well, this theory goes that Dr. Claw is actually the real Inspector Gadget. He had died from a terrible accident that destroyed most of his body. Gadget's niece Penny, distraught with grief, then built the Inspector Gadget we see in the show, a replica of sorts. So, this vengeful spirit now seeks to destroy his imposter. It's a fun idea. If Inspector Gadget was darker and aimed at an older audience, this would have been a cool direction to take the show in. A nice final season twist, perhaps. At our number 8 spot, we have the Lost Spongebob Squidward episode. So the story goes that a former Nickelodeon intern claimed to have stumbled upon a mysterious and disturbing episode of SpongeBob. The episode supposedly starts with Squidward preparing for a clarinet concert, but the atmosphere is just unusually tense, and Squidward appears visibly distressed. As the episode progresses, the tone becomes increasingly sinister. Squidward's concert ends up going horribly wrong, leading to a loud, high-pitched sound, and then we cut back to Squidward, who is shown sitting on the edge of his bed, crying softly. The animation becomes hyper-realistic. I guess how it is whenever it does those close-up gnarly paintings in SpongeBob. Squidward's eyes are bloodshot, and his sobs just get louder and more anguished. Then the scene continues for several minutes before Squidward takes his own life. Apparently, this lost episode was so disturbing that the original animators and crew members were traumatized after watching it. Some versions go that the intern who discovered the episode was then fired, and the episode itself was destroyed to prevent it from ever being aired. At number 7, we have the Parasect Zombie theory. Now, this is a Pokemon fan theory. There's gonna be some of you out there like, oh, don't call anime cartoons. I know Pokemon is an anime. It's insulting to use the word cartoon. It's animation from Japan, alright? Anyway, Let's talk about the Pokemon Parasect and its previous form, Paras. These Pokemon have little mushrooms attached to their back, Tochukasu mushrooms, which are parasitic. They draw on the nutrients in the Pokemon's body, but Paras is not fully under the control of the mushrooms, but some of their actions are partially influenced by them. But as these mushrooms continue to grow, Paras evolves into Parasect. At this point, the mushroom on its back is far larger. It basically takes up the whole body, and now it has full control over the creature, and Parasect only has the whites of its eyes exposed, almost like it's dead and doesn't even need to see, as its actions are completely controlled by the large mushroom on its back. And it's also said that removing the mushroom from a Parasect's back will stop it from moving altogether. Maybe what that really means is that Parasect has no life left in it anymore, simply being a vessel for its mushroom to control. This is based on a real-life parasitic fungus called cordyceps, which invade the bodies of different insects and basically turn them into mindless zombies in real life. And the cordyceps will actually grow out of their host's bodies too, much like what you have here. So this one, not too far-fetched. Probably is exactly what they were intending. Next on the list we have Dead Bart. The Lost Simpsons episode entitled Dead Bart is a creepypasta, an internet horror story that revolves around an alleged lost episode of The Simpsons. According to the story, an anonymous writer claims to be a former writer for the show who worked on an episode titled Dead Bart, which was never aired. In this creepy tale, the lost episode begins with the familiar Simpsons family sitting on the couch, but everything appears slightly off. The colors are muted, the animation quality is poorer than usual. The family also seems to have genuine disdain for each other, not the type of lighthearted, jokey bickering you typically see in the show. The atmosphere is just eerie. The Simpsons get on a plane, and Bart, having messed around like Bart does, accidentally breaks a window and gets sucked out before falling to his death. The art is described as looking far too realistic to be anything other than disturbing. We cut to the rest of the family sitting at the dinner table sobbing. The scene goes on longer than it should, and there's no humor to the crying. It's not exaggerated enough to be funny. It's just sad. We cut to 1 year later, and Marge, Homer, and Lisa are skeletally thin now, sitting at the dinner table once again. Maggie, nowhere to be seen. They decide to visit Bart's grave, but when they get there, Bart's body is just laying right in front of his gravestone in a state of decomposition, drawn in that same realistic art style as before. At this point, Homer makes a joke, but it isn't entirely clear what the joke is. Then it fades to black as the episode comes to an end. No music, just crudely drawn credits. Next up, we have another Pokemon conspiracy theory, the Cubone's mother theory. So it's pretty well known that Cubone wears the skull of its deceased mother, which is already pretty dark. You'd think its mother is Marowak, though, right? But maybe not. For a long time, fans have speculated that maybe Cubone is the orphan child of Kangaskhan. The two Pokemon, they do look pretty similar. Same color scheme. They both have 3 fingers with claws in the shape of Kangaskhan's head, kind of similar to the skull Cubone wears. So the idea is that Cubone would evolve into Marowak. Marowak would evolve into its 3rd evolution, Kangaskhan, and then the cycle would repeat. Now, this does help explain why Cubone doesn't have an official 3rd evolution. Not that every Pokemon does, but some don't even evolve at all. But anyway, I could see this one making sense. Next up, we have Ed, and Eddy's Purgatory theory. This is a pretty popular one, also very dark. The idea here is that the characters are actually in Purgatory, a place between heaven and hell where the souls are cleansed of their sins before moving on to the afterlife. I guess the main crux of this theory is that the characters don't leave their suburban cul-de-sac. No matter how much they try, they're always stuck in the same place, kind of like Purgatory, where souls are trapped until they are purified of their sins. The show's setting is also a bit ambiguous. There aren't any adults around, and the neighborhood seems frozen in this perpetual summer. There's also theories written about each character and their past and like how they died and stuff, but that's There's not really any evidence in the show to support that stuff. It's more just pure fiction, but anyway, interesting theory. At number 3, we have another Simpsons one. This one is more general. The Simpsons' knack for predicting the future. There have been so many instances of this that some people believe it just can't be a coincidence. One of the most famous instances is the episode Bart to the Future, the episode where Bart glimpses into the future and finds that his sister Lisa has become the president of the United States, succeeding a fictional President Donald Trump. And of course, in 2017, Donald Trump was actually inaugurated as the 45th President of the United States. Another crazy prediction came in Homer Votes 2012, where a voting machine malfunctions, changing Homer's vote from Barack Obama to Mitt Romney. In the 2012 presidential elections, similar issues with voting machines were reported, although not involving characters from The Simpsons. The show has also been credited with predicting various technological advancements and societal changes. They showcased smartwatches in 1995, long before they became a big mainstream gadget. The advent of autocorrect on phones was also humorously shown in a 1994 episode. The list goes on. We could do an entire list of Simpsons predictions alone, and oh wait, we actually have. Alright, one last Pokemon theory for you. There's so many, I couldn't help myself. This one concerns Mimikyu. Yeah, these unsettling looking, creepy Pokemon in Pikachu costumes. There's always been the mystery as to what Mimikyu really looks like under there, as its outward appearance is really just a disguise, a crudely slapped together Pikachu costume. So yeah, what is going on under there? Well, this theory suggests that maybe Mimikyu is actually more closely related to Pikachu than we might think. It doesn't just want to look like Pikachu, it's not just dressing up as one, it's Pikachu's former form Pichu, only dead. Undead Pichus that never got a chance to evolve and now wear these haphazard disguises and these attempts to take on the form they wish they could have reached in life. Honestly, this one, not that far-fetched, especially when you look at their typing. Mimikyu is a ghost fairy type. Kind of feel bad for these little things now. Another thing that ties them to Pichu is they know some of the same moves, like Thunderbolt. Pretty interesting. Finally though, number 1, we have the Spongebob nuclear testing theory. This fan theory suggests that Bikini Bottom might be based on Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. Bikini Atoll was the site of several hydrogen bomb tests conducted by the United States between 1946 and 58. So according to this theory, these nuclear tests caused these sea creatures in Bikini Bottom to become radioactive and granting them human-level intelligence and abilities, explaining their ability to speak, attend school, hold down jobs, that and the fact that it's a cartoon, but forget about that for now. And an anonymous source claiming to be affiliated with the SpongeBob SquarePants production team once stated that some fan theories, like this one, are considered semi-canon among the writing staff. The theory gained further momentum when the interpretation of the episode where SpongeBob visits Rock Bottom, one of my favorite episodes. Some fans speculate that the dark, nightmarish Rock Bottom could be the result of a giant crater left by one of the nuclear bombs. With all that said, I've been your host James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.